It's already popping up in the news, but most people don't cover how big this pension crisis is coming. They talk about this virus in China. Well, this pension crisis is bigger than that virus in China because the pension crisis is a global crisis. It is bigger than the 2008 subprime crisis. So let me remind all of you, back in January of 2008, I came on CNN on Wolf Blitzer, and I made a complete idiot of myself saying that Lehman Brothers was going down. Now, Wolf and CNN did not like that show. Plus, they had a Wall Street person who was trying to defend Wall Street, those criminals. But anyway, so in January of 2008, I warned that Lehman was coming down. In September, I believe, Lehman came down, and that was the beginning of one of the biggest crashes in world history. This next crash coming is going to make 2008 look like a blip, like nothing, because this is about pensions and it's a global crisis.
My first question, Ted, is why is it only you and Robert right now are the only ones talking about this coming crisis? Why is it not in the news? Why is nobody talking about it?
Well, Kim, the reason is because pensions are very seemingly complex, and people's eyes glaze over the minute you start talking about them. But they're really much easier to understand, and it's critical to understand how they work and why pensions fail. There are three components to the health of the pension. They are simply money in, which is how much money goes into this pension pot. We call those contributions. There's the money invested, how the money in the pot is managed or invested over, say, a worker's 30-year employment life. And the third component is money out, how much money is paid out of the pot in the form of benefits. If any one of these three drivers of pension health is amiss, then the pension may falter or fail. And likewise, simply put, there are three ways to fix a failing pension. Put more money in the pot, invest the money in the pot better, or pay less money out of the pot. And the primary focus of our book, Who Stole My Pension, which is the least understood, least discussed cause, and ultimately the fix to the pension crisis, is mismanagement of the investments. And that's what's harder for people to grasp, and that's why this subject is often not discussed.
And it's really strange because, Ted, you were just up in Rhode Island, and is it Real Vision or somebody doing a documentary on you and your whistleblowing and the Rhode Island pension and the governor who was stuffing her pocket with pension money and taking money from Wall Street as well as from the pensioners? I mean, people don't even talk about it, but only now are these documentaries coming out. Is that correct, Ted?
Yeah, the documentary is really focused on the pension work that I've been doing, not so much on whistleblowing, but Rhode Island is just a graphic case because the state treasurer, who is now Michael Bloomberg's campaign co-chairman of his campaign,
All right.
Gina Raimondo.
All right.
Yeah, she's backing him. She announced 7 years ago that she had fixed the nation's retirement crisis. She was going to cut workers' benefits by 3%. What she didn't tell anybody was she was going to increase pay to Wall Street by 4%. So
Oops.
What was supposedly sold as an austerity move to shore up the pension, we're going to cut workers' benefits by 3%, was just a wealth transfer. The 3% the school teachers took in cuts went straight to Wall Street, and including her own pocket because she was one of the Wall Street money managers in the pension. So she personally profited from this scheme as well.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
And I'm guessing that's not unique just to Rhode Island.
Well, her personally profiting was unique, but what's not at all unique across the country is cutting of workers' benefits. Like I said, since 2008, half of all city and state pension funds have cut their benefits. And in every case that I'm aware of, where benefits have been cut, fees to Wall Street. Wall Street have skyrocketed, have gone up 10 times as much.
Surprise, surprise. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just remind you, the book is called Who Stole My Pension? Read the back cover. It says, what is America's #1 export? Answer, toxic acids. The same things have brought down the subprime market called MBSs, CLOs, and MDSs. Wall Street is now pumping into pensions. And then there's two kinds of pensions: defined benefit, which Ted is an expert on, and defined contribution, which John McGregor, author of The Top 10 Reasons Why the Rich Go Broke, is the expert on defined contribution. So what do you have to say for yourself, John? I mean, how do you feel about what you're doing?
Well, it's just amazing. In all the years that I've done pension, and both on the defined benefit and defined contribution consulting to companies, corporations, union plans, nonprofits, it just always amazed me how powerful these pension boards were, how much money they oversaw, and how many lives were in their hands, yet how little they knew about what they were doing. These people these people who really oversaw the investment management and made the final decision, these board members were police officers, teachers, people that donated to the specific nonprofit. They knew nothing about the investment world. They certainly had no idea of the risk levels that were involved in the investments within these plans, and they were clueless, kind of what Ted was talking about. They're clueless about the internal fees that were being charged because it's so opaque. There's no transparency in this world. And most of these plans are never audited. I mean, I've spoken to boards where, Mr. and Mrs. Jones donated a refrigerator, and therefore now they're on the board, making serious investment decisions for thousands of retirees. It's absolutely scary.
Well, one of the reasons they like to be on the board, as Ted points out in Who Stole My Pension, is that Wall Street comes in and then wines and dines them to Las Vegas, Hawaii, and Cancun, and they buy them liquor, wine, and women and beer and fried chicken. And they just love it, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been in presentations to a board when it was my time to present. They would say to me, "Hey, John, you've got 2 minutes to present your side of this, because we got a tea time that's quickly approaching." So these board meetings, these quarterly board meetings, wasn't about the plan, the pension, how it's doing, what the fees are, or anything. It was a social event to have a nice lunch and then go play 18 holes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Pension. Just remember this. This is not in the news yet, but it's coming. Ohio just announced their medical benefits have to be cut because they don't have enough money. I first saw Ted on a TV, on a documentary on the Kentucky pension. So Ted, what were you doing talking to Kentucky people about a pension?
Yeah, Kentucky is one of the worst funded pensions in the nation. They're down below 20% funded, which means they have 20 cents, less than 20 cents for every dollar of benefits they've been promised. And so there's a massive lawsuit in Kentucky now trying to expose all of the hidden fees that have been paid to Wall Street, hedge funds, and others. And we exposed this back in 2012, 8 years ago, that this was coming. And the board wanted nothing to do with it, was not interested in hearing that news. And so the situation's gotten a lot worse.
And John, as a guy who handles a defined contribution, the 401k and all this stuff, and as a financial planner, you actually see their numbers. What do you see? I mean, these are rich people. That's why you wrote the book, The Top 10 Reasons the Rich Go Broke. What do you see? I mean, Ted looks inside a pension, which are millions and millions and millions of dollars. What do you see when you look at individual rich people's quote-unquote pensions, 401ks, IRAs?
Well, it's interesting. No matter what the income levels are, almost everybody's living paycheck to paycheck. It's a reality, unfortunately. I mean, one of the most powerful stories in my book highlights this precisely. It was a couple. They had a pension plan. They had a retirement plan. They had a stock option plan. He was a high-level executive at a major global corporation, and then 9/11 hit, and they were completely wiped out, completely, because they were absolutely assured, convinced that they had this money waiting for them when they retire. So this is systemic. No matter what the income is, what the wealth is, this is affecting everybody. And that three-legged stool we talk about really isn't a three-legged stool people are sitting on. It's more like a whoopee cushion.
Ted, if you have people who have defined benefits like firefighters, police officers, teachers, and many labor unions, what advice do you have for them with a defined benefit plan?
Well, one of the things we really wanted to do in this book, Who Stole My Pension, Robert, was to give people an action plan. One of the things I say is, now is the time to take immediate action to stop diluting and protect pensions by ensuring that promises made are in fact kept. Doing nothing, sitting back, confident that your pension check is in the mail is not an option. That's a risk that workers can't afford to take. And so what we talk about in the book is that mismanagement of pension investments is the cause of pension failures, and that we point out that the boards watching over these pensions almost universally lack investment experience. Pensions are increasingly being less transparent, not more transparent, because Wall Street is pushing them to be less transparent. They're gambling more than ever. They're lying about the investment fees they pay, and they're not adequately protected under state or federal law. And finally, many pensions rather, are not even audited fully by an accounting firm. So these are the points that we really hammer home that pensioners need to be aware of and to take action and potentially have a crowd-funded forensic investigation of their retirement plan.
So this is why, please listen to this. Who Stole My Pension is a very important book, because we talk about on the back cover is what's America's #1 export? Toxic assets. For the subprime crash of 2008, it was CLOs, CDOs, MBSs, and all those other derivatives. So this crash coming up right now, is a result of 2008. And Andy's, it's the biggest stock market boom in history. But how has pension performance been, Andy?
It's in the frickin' trash can.
So all this, so the stock market is going up, but these state government pensions, there's no gain inside the pension. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. We have never seen a stock market. You would think that, in the beginning of 2008, the smartest thing you ever could have done is put your money in the stock market, which guys like Warren Buffett did, and they're richer than ever. They're richer than ever. But I'll tell you what, these pensions, you mentioned these fees and how they lie, Ted. This gets me going. You look at that cockeyed Kentucky fund. Do you know how they hide the fees? They say, well, it's proprietary. We're so good at this that we can't disclose our fee structure. That's part of our proprietary system. Their benchmark for that thing was like 7.5% to 8% was what they promised. They hit maybe 4% twice in 20 years. In 20 years.
And but what has the stock market done in 20 years?
Oh, it's basically doubled.
Yeah, 14,000 Dow in 2008, 28,000 Dow in 2020.
I mentioned for you, Warren Buffett's got 20% of his stock money in Apple, and it doubled last year. But these pension guys, you got $60,000 in your Vanguard defined contribution plan. It's unbelievable. I tell you, I'd love to talk to Ted about the forensic part of those fees, because the law of compounding costs is something I would study if I had either a pension or 401k. I would study how those fees and where they go and what happens with them.
Well, that's what the forensic investigations I've undertaken have shown, is that in every case, the pension didn't fail because not enough money went into it or too much money was paid out. It was the underperformance of the investments compounded over time caused the pension to lose almost half its value, and that's why your average state and local pension in America today is 70% funded. The other 30% went to Wall Street. And whether you have a pension or not, you are a pension stakeholder. State and local, you're a pension stakeholder if you're a taxpayer, because you are contributing to these pensions. So it's not only the workers in them that have to worry about it, it's the millennials or anyone else who's paying state and local taxes, because they are paying into these pensions.
We're very